All right, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, YouTube. This is Rosh, and this is a video series I'm putting together called AxeFX 3 Basics. I want to thank all you guys for reaching out to me, both in the comments, both reaching out to me via email, making requests for videos. I would be more than happy to do so. I apologize that I haven't been updating this the last week. I've been busy with a lot of clients, doing some one-on-one help, and also making videos just for one-on-one clients. So if you guys are interested in getting some one-on-one personal help, by all means, reach out to me. I would be more than happy to, and we can make some things happen. So I got a long queue of videos I do need to make, so I want to thank all you guys for reaching out and requesting some topics for me to cover. So a little about me. I'm an LA-based guitar player and guitar tech. Some of my clients include Etheridge, Leppard, Steve Vai, Dweezil Zappa, Perfect Circle, Bush, and more. I do a lot of programming, and I wanted to give back to the Fractal community and put together this video series on how to build some presets and how to use some of the features in the AxeFX 3 and other Fractal products. So one of the requests that I got was for how to actually assign and use the FC12 and FC6 foot controllers. So I haven't really gone into any of the basics on that. I did go into a previous video on how to use the per preset foot controller function. There's a lot to dive into here, but I'm going to give some of the basics on how to do stuff. So here we have an empty preset. Doesn't really matter what this preset is. And for those of you guys who are interested in hearing me play, there's not going to be a lot of playing in this video. This is more just like a walkthrough. So when you open up AxeEdit, the cool thing is the FC12 and the FC6 fractal foot controllers are integrated with the AxeFX 3. So if you want to adjust anything in the foot controllers, you actually click here. And what you can do is it does give you some default layouts that they recommend. I actually clear all these out. So you can use the reset layout or reset all layouts. Right now, all my layouts are completely blank. And I wanted to go through some of the basics on how to assign functions to each of the foot switches. So the cool thing is with the foot controllers, the way it works is that you have 8 different layouts, and then you have a master layout, which gives you access to all of the 8. So if you read the manual, there is a function. Basically, you hold down this button with your foot, and then you tap this button on your if you're using the FC12, and then if you're using the FC6, it would be this button and that button, and then it gives you access to what's called the master layout menu. And so, for example, some of the things that you can do is you can have a layout that is for your effects only, then maybe your scenes, and then maybe your presets, and then maybe number 4 would be a looper. And then you can assign, so when you go to the master menu, what the cool thing is that if you want to access your effects, you would click this button. So you hold down these two, you get to the master layout menu, and then now you have access to all your effects. You have access to all your scenes, all your presets, the looper, and then these we haven't filled out. You can use them for anything. So that's one method that people can do. So if you want to have access to different things, you can have separate layouts assigned to control separate functions. And every layout is customizable, and you can assign anything. So let's do the easy version of this. So one thing I'm going to do is I'm going to reset all layouts. And if this takes a second, I'll just fast forward through the video while this happens. There we go. So it's going to cycle, it's going to reset all the layouts. But while it's doing that, basically, what we're going to do is we're going to use this as a tutorial video on how to assign one layout. Okay, so fast forwarding through all this, and there we go. Okay, so let's say this is going to be our main layout, and we'll call this main layout. And we want to assign these buttons to be our scenes within a preset, and then we want to assign this top row to be our effects within the preset that we're on, and then we'll use these as bank up and down switches. So this is kind of the main way that I set up my FC12, but you can of course make it your own. So for example, if I have a preset with 5 scenes in it, what I would do is first click this button, and then you're going to pick a category. And so let's select scene. And then it's going to give you a bunch of different things. You can toggle between scenes. You can select it for the interest of this video. Again, using the foot controller there's a lot to unpack here. So we'll do a real basic setup. So let's say in this preset, main preset, we have 5 scenes. Scene 1, scene 1. Then we have scene 2, scene 3, scene 4, and scene 5. Now, the cool thing is the FC controller will actually display these labels for whatever your scene is. So you could also, let's say, call this your clean. Let's say you want this to be your crunch. And let's say you want this to be your rhythm 1, rhythm, maybe high gain, and then maybe scene 5 will be a lead sound. Okay, cool. So now what you can do is that you want to assign these 5 buttons to be your scene. So this is already assigned to scene 1, and the cool thing is you can assign it to any color you want. We'll just use red for now. This is the kind of the default color for scenes. And then we select scene here. And then this time, instead of scene 1 again, we want to do scene 2. It gives you all options for all 8 scenes. And then we want to do scene 3, scene 4, scene, and we want to use select, not toggle, because what toggle is, and I'll go over this in a future video, is it allows you to toggle between scene 1 and 2, for example, on the same button. For the interest of this video, we're not going to do that. So here is scene 4, and then last but not least, scene 5. Cool. And so you can see it says scene 1 here, scene 2, scene 3, scene 4, and scene 5. And then they will all update automatically depending on what your scene names are. So if you have different presets with different scene names, your foot controller will automatically reflect what's in the scene name unless you use this function down here called display label, which we will go over in a future video, but we will not cover today. So now you can see that each scene is reflecting what the scene name actually is, and that's going to automatically display on your foot controller. And scene 1 will be clean. Cool. So now the cool thing is that selecting these buttons will go through each and every one of the scenes. So if you click here on your foot controller, go to scene 4. If you click here on your foot controller, go to scene 1. And you can color code these any way you want. I just tend to use the default colors, but of course you are more than welcome to use any colors that you want. And then if you forget what color it is, like for example, let's say you make this one blue and you're like, oh wait, I forgot, you can just hit default right here and it'll go back to that. So, okay, so we assign the scenes right here. And then let's do this row, we're gonna do effects. So let's say in this preset, I'm just gonna do a quick build. I'm not going to do any playing, but let's just say we have a preset and we have, let's say, an overdrive in the front, and let's say reverb, delay, a phaser, and let me put one more effect, compressor. Put that phaser here. Okay, and so there you go. We got this basic preset, and we'll go back to the foot controller. So now we can assign these, and these are going to be assigned globally when you do this. So no matter what preset you're in, these 5 buttons are going to control the scenes of the preset, and these 5 buttons are going to control the effect within the given preset. Now, if the effect doesn't exist in the preset, it'll still be assigned to that. So for example, in this preset, we don't have, let's say, a flanger. So if you do assign, for example, an effect, and then you use the function, you want to bypass this effect, and you put in, let's say, a flanger here, this is not going to show up on your foot controller. It's going to be kind of like faded. It's going to be like kind of dim. And basically what that means is that that effect doesn't exist in this preset. So as you can see, it's not going to be like that. But what we're going to do is we're going to assign all these effects to the effects that are in this particular preset, let's say. So I would recommend watching my per preset foot controller if you want to have different effects on different presets. So for example, if your main preset, you have like you have these effects, but let's say in the following preset you have a flanger and you don't have a phaser, you can use a per preset foot controller to assign a flanger here instead of a phaser. Go ahead and watch my per preset foot controller in the AxeFX tutorials playlist. Okay, so to assign an effect, what we'll do is let's just reset this. Okay, so what you do is category, and these are all the things you can assign to a button. So we're going to do effect, and in the function, that means you're telling the foot controller what kind of function you want when you press this pedal. So there's bypass, there's channel select, there's channel increment, channel toggle, all this kind of stuff. For just basic on and off functions, we're going to use bypass, and then you select the effect. So let's say we want our compressor here. Now the cool thing is that you can assign the effect on any one of these foot switch. It doesn't have anything to do with the order of the effects here. So let's say you want the compressor here instead. You can totally do that. You can, as you can see, you can just drag and drop the buttons where you want them. So for the interest of this video, I'm going to do left to right in the same order that the effects are from left to right. So next one would be drive, and drive 1, and then effect, and what do we do? Flanger? No, phaser. Phaser here, and then we want, what do we do? Delay, and then last but not least, we did a reverb. Now these are all going to be bypass functions of these effects. So these are just basically like your scenes and then your effects. And the cool thing is, like, you can still save the effects on and off in different scenes, and in your foot controller will reflect that. So in scene 1, let's say we want it to load up with nothing because it's our clean sound, but let's say with our crunch sound, we want it to load with the drive on. So right now I'm using this bass amp. I mean, you can use whatever amp you want. So, and I'll just gate that so it's not annoying. Okay, cool. So, I mean, it doesn't really matter what you know, how you save your preset and your scenes is how the foot controller is going to load when you load on each of these scenes. And you can also load with the effects on and off. Depending on the scene, the foot controller will automatically reflect what's on and off in the given scene. Last but not least, let's set these as, we'll not do the bank thing right now because that can get a little confusing, and I'll cover that again in a future video. So let's say we want this to be our tap tempo. I did have a question in one of the comments like, hey, is that the layout you generally use? I use a lot of the per preset foot controller, and then I also use the multi master layout menu a lot. So I end up having like basically 2 main layouts that I use. And so the first layout is like my performance layout. This is like what I would want at my feet if I'm playing a gig live. And then what I do is this button right here is going to be the utility. I go here. And then the cool thing about the utility is you can assign like tap tempo and tuner. So for this one, we'll do tap tempo. And for this one, you go to the utility menu and then I'm going to do tuner. So now you notice that these buttons, they just default to whatever color, but let's say for the sake of argument, you want your tuner to be purple and your tap tempo to be orange. You can assign the colors here and all that kind of stuff. And now, one of the reasons why I do this instead of putting bank switches here sometimes is because if I'm playing a gig, I don't want to accidentally bank up or down to another preset. So, so here's like a basic layout. So I have my effects here, and no matter what scene I'm in, there will still be the same effects. And then what I do is I use these two buttons to turn on and go to the master layout menu. And and in a second layout, which I won't go into here in this video, I will put like my bank switches and my presets and stuff so I can switch between presets. So, and that's what kind of I do. I generally use maybe, I don't know, 8 main presets when I'm playing gigs. So when I do the master layout menu, the cool thing is that I basically go to the master layout menu, go to layout 2, and then I use this as my presets. And then here I access all my basic presets. So I usually have like about maybe 8 to 10 presets that I use for a gig. Some of them, might be song specific. Some of them might be just like, oh, I want my expression pedal to be a wah in this preset, but I want it to be a whammy in another preset. And then what I'll do is I will play a song using this main performance preset, or performance layout, sorry. And then when the song ends, I'll press these two buttons, go to the master layout menu, and then go to my preset menu. And then as the next song as I look down on the set list, or, you know, if I know what the next song's going to be, then I'll go, okay, I need this preset for that song versus this preset. So that's generally kind of the workflow, but it really kind of depends on the gig too. Sometimes if I am doing a gig where I know the song order and what it's going to be, then I'll just program a layout so that this would be like intro, verse, chorus, bridge, etc. And I'll use this as bank up and down switches to switch between each of the songs or whatever. And sometimes I have, you know, Ableton or Logic or whatever doing all my switching for me, so I don't have to worry about it. Every gig's different. But again, in the scope of this video, this is just going to cover some of the basic assignment functions on how to use the foot controller. I will definitely cover more of this stuff in depth in the future. There's a lot of features here. Fractal definitely, you know, did a lot of work on making sure that this would work for everybody. The hold functions, the mini display functions, all of this kind of stuff is really cool to take advantage of, and I would definitely recommend it. And the cool thing is with the FM3 and the FC6, all of this stuff works exactly the same. It's just, you know, smaller numbers. So this is for the FC12. All right, so this is going to end it for this video. If you guys have any questions or need any one-on-one help, I would be more than happy to help you. Feel free to reach out to me through in the description below. Got all my contact information down there, and we can set something up for you. All right. In the meantime, take care, and I'll see you guys soon.
It goes up, then turns back down. We're all looking for the